Jordan Rains here with the IDP 411 podcast. Just want to tell you guys today about our sponsor of the show, expandtheboxscore.com. Expandtheboxscore.com has premium NFL and college football stats. They're adaptable, they're affordable, there's all kinds of great stuff on there from the NFL to college football. It's great for people that are in the Devy leagues looking to get that edge over their league mates. So go check out expandtheboxscore.com, proud sponsor of the show. And now, without further ado, on to the IDP 411.
What's up? This is Jared Girth, my co-host Jordan Rains, the IDP 411. Going to do a little mix-up today. Our top 6 on each position, rookies. What's up, Jordan? How you doing?
Yo, good morning. How's everybody doing? The IDP Army. Happy to be here as always with my man Jared. Steve is with us as well in the background, making sure that we don't screw this up. And want to say a little shout out if you're on the YouTube channel. You know, Jared and I are rocking the IDP Army shirts. These things are pretty fresh, not gonna lie. If you guys want to get in on that, Jared's put out a couple of tweets. DM that dude. Get yourself squatted up for the season because you know it's gonna be here soon. So give that a little shout out. And yeah, today we're just gonna do some rookie rankings. We kind of broke down the rookies last week. Just a little, instant recap reaction. But now we kind of decided 6 was a good number to, kind of put our top guys at each position in some sort of order and to begin to really build, our rookie rankings out for the season. Jared has his rookie show, mini series, which should be up in week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Keep your eyes out for that. That'll be more detailed and in-depth than this, but yeah, happy to be on here and to give the people some action. So how about you?
Man, I'm good, dude. Like I said, I'm excited about having the shirts in and, they're finally done. And, they're super comfortable, so I'm excited about that. A lot of people worried of whether or not they're going to, shirts are going to be too tight or too loose or whatever. But honestly, I'm going to rock this shirt so much ridiculous. So,
yeah, they are. They look pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. I like our little logo thing we got going on. So
I'm pretty excited about this show too. Cause you know me, I'm a big rookie guy. So anytime I get a chance to talk about them, let's get on it.
Let's do it. All right. Well, I guess let's just, we haven't really decided what kind of format we'll do, but I guess it'd be fun just to go spot by spot. So let's just start with the linebackers since that's what everybody's really here for. And we'll just lead off the bat. I'll just go my number one linebacker out of the rookies for this class it ends up being Isaiah Simmons. It's not really complicated to me. It's easy to be like, oh, it's Patrick Queen. It's easy to say something contrarian, but at the end of the day, Isaiah Simmons was that guy, that prospect. You know what I mean? He was taken in the top 10. These other guys weren't. He's got a skill set that is a little bit more diverse than these other guys. And he landed in a perfect spot, a defense that needed help with linebacker. So I really like his spot. I still think he should be the first linebacker off the board in all of your rookie drafts. And unless you're a homer and you want to go a different direction, I don't blame you. But I'm saying if you want to make the prudent call, it's Isaiah Simmons. So that's kind of a layup in my eyes. I'm sure you have the same, right?
I don't. For me, it's Kenneth Murray, and I know it's maybe people can call me a homer or whatever, but my biggest thing is I think that Arizona actually did some work and added Devondre Campbell, which is a big add for them. Where exactly which linebacker is Simmons going to play? So for me, he's right there with me, but Kenneth Murray's going to play the middle, and he's, in my opinion, he's the younger Thomas Davis that we all loved, running the team of the Chargers. And I can see 115, 120 tackles out of the guy this year. So that's how I have to put him number one for me.
I'm not even going to argue with you because I was thinking about these rankings. I was like, I want to go more, this 2020, or do I want to go more long-term? And even, it's tough. I honestly do think that Simmons in 2020 is not the number one linebacker. I think when it's all said and done, 5, 6, 7, 8 years from now, he is. But I think you're right. I think Kenneth Murray this season is in line to get that work. in a way that not many of these other guys necessarily are, and is equipped to do that, and not in an IDP fun way. Kenneth Murray comes in as my number 2. I'm not gonna lie, and if I'm doing seasonal rankings, and if I want a guy that I know is gonna, like you said, rack up probably 115 tackles as a rookie, which it's high praise, but it happens. Kenneth Murray seems to me like he's going to be the most capable of that. The role he went into, the kind of player he is. You kind of alluded to all that. So that was your 1. That was my 2. Who's your number 2?
So I really flipped and flopped on whether or not I was going to put Simmons here or not. But for me, I had to put Patrick Queen because they did so much in front of him, adding Calais Campbell, expecting Judon to get a lot of, quarterback hits. And I think they did enough on the front side and even in the draft that I think he gets a lot more tackles this year. And like I'm with you, Isaiah Simmons maybe moving forward in the long run is the guy. But because they added Devondre Campbell and stuff like that, Patrick Queen moved to my number 2 because I think he's right there, 100 tackles. I think he has a better year this year than he did his senior year in college. So,
Interesting.
Because of what they did in front of him, only because of what they did in front of him, gives him the opportunity to get more tackles.
Fair. I like Queen. I mean, I'm not as high on Queen as a lot of people are. I'll just be honest with you there. But I get it. I understand it. I don't blame you at all. So you got Kenneth Murray at 1, Queen at 2. I've got Simmons at 1, Kenneth Murray at 2.
I got Simmons at 3 though. So
you got Simmons at 3. So why don't you go ahead?
I do.
And give us your little talk.
Like I said, the main reason I got Simmons at 3 is just because of what the other teams did in front of their guys, or what a guy's replacing in Kenneth Murray. For me, I think that it's the right spot for Simmons. I think that he's going to be near 100 tackle guy. I love it. We've got guys behind them that I think could very possibly be in a good role to hit huge numbers. But Simmons in long term is without a doubt a massive dynasty grab. He's the Derwin James athlete, possibly playing linebacker for good, and I'll take that all day.
Yeah.
So that's why I have him number 3.
Nice, fair. You'll probably get some flack for that, but I don't. Again,
I'm okay with that. I mean, that's fine.
No, and I'm with you too. I mean, you kind of have to play at your flag, and you have to really, and the difference. I hate to.
It's close. I mean, that's the thing is those top 3 are going to be those top 3.
It's going to be close. You're 100% right, and we're speculating. And what's the difference going to be? What if it's 2-3 pass deflections could be the difference in some of these guys. So I like it. I like Simmons as the long-term asset, and I think your mindset is right, putting these other guys a little bit ahead of him, just because he is playing next to a Jordan Hicks. Patrick Queen's not playing next to a Jordan Hicks. Kenneth Murray's not playing next to a Jordan Hicks. No. So you got to account for that. You're definitely right. And in year 1, that is going to be part of the game. So I love it. All right, well, I'll go ahead and give y'all my number 3 guy. And my number 3 guy is Logan Wilson. Yes, I have him ahead of Patrick Queen. Why? Defend yourself. Explain yourself. I think Logan Wilson is probably just getting a little bit under the radar for a couple different reasons. 1, he went to the Bengals. 2, I mean, he's a white guy playing linebacker, so it's just like, is he really that good, or does dad make him play football? But it's hard, and he didn't play for a giant program. He played for Wyoming.
His dad make him play football.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just he's the dark horse in a funny way, of this group, and he's fast. I didn't watch a whole lot of him coming into the season, but I was aware of him, and he's fast. And he's very smart, and I like the way he plays. He doesn't play with a lot of attitude or look what I just did. He just does it, and then he gets up and gets right back in his spot, and he does it again. And it's just guys like that to me are scary players. And he goes to a spot on the Bengals that desperately needs linebacker help, a coverage linebacker, a tackling line. They just need a guy that's not terrible there, and I think being able to get Logan Wilson at the top of the 3rd Yeah, they didn't get all the brand name guys, the Murray, the Queen, the Simmons, but Logan Wilson, I saw a lot of guys that I kind of respect in the draft community, not fantasy community, draft community, that said, watch out, like Logan Wilson, wherever he lands, whoever takes him will be a savvy team that knows that they can get him late and knows he's going to be able to compete. And the more I've read about him, the more I've looked at him, and then the more we know about that situation, where tackles are plentiful because the defensive snaps are plentiful. I mean, look at Sean Williams, look at Jesse Bates, look at Sam Hubbard. Sam Hubbard's a defensive end, and this dude had, 80-something tackles last year. So Logan Wilson's going to feast. I mean, unless this guy gets hurt, I mean, he's going to wake up every day. He's going to hit the field, and he's going to be working for your team.
Oh, shit.
Oh, little technical difficulties. But that's why I got Logan Wilson at 3. People are probably going to take a big dump on me and be like, Patrick Queen, you're crazy. That's fine. I mean, you can say that. Patrick Queen will be on my list soon. But I think Logan Wilson's a little bit of a dark horse to finish as a linebacker, as a top 2 or 3 linebacker in 2020. And honestly, he could have one of the better careers of this class. I mean, so that's my number 3. Who you got at 3? Oh, you said you had Simmons at 3, right?
I had Simmons at 3, but so I'm going to my number 4. We kind of flip flopped here.
Mm-hmm.
My number 4 is Willie Gay. So I just think he's in the perfect spot. I mean, who do you really trust on that defense? I mean, it's your defense, right? So who do you trust at linebacker there? So for me, I think he steps into a spot and starts right away. And I think he could be plentiful for a long time. If you watch him in college, that dude's a savage. I mean, he was a big dude, fast. He's athletic, and honestly, I don't think he really got to showcase his talent. And I think that he ends up being a baller. And I think he's in a good spot at Kansas City. So
yeah,
I'm not trying to give too much away before I do all my rankings.
You can't too into it before he does the rookie mini series, but. Steve got some stuff here for us. He put together a nice show doc for us. We appreciate it for that. I just want to say Logan Wilson had 105 tackles last year. He played all 4 years at Wyoming, right? Wyoming. And he had 94 tackles or more every single year. He started every year. And that is another, just kind of backtracking. That's another thing about Logan Wilson. It's like the production's there. He's not a one-hit wonder. He didn't have to redshirt. He's not like Patrick Queen, sorry guys, who, had to fight for a starting job at the beginning of the season.
I'm with you.
Logan Wilson showed up, showed out, and they did it 4 years in a row, 15 games a season. So,
it's funny how much I've had to defend my love for Kenneth Murray over Patrick Queen. I'm like, dude, look at the stats. We're like, oh, what's his big deal? It's 1 year. I'm like, listen, if he was so good, if he's that good,
why didn't he start?
Then why didn't he start until his last season?
Yep.
He's like, oh, he had Devin Wade in front of him. Okay, well, there's 2 other linebacker spots, so tell me why he didn't start.
Exactly. There's a bit of, and Patrick Queen, I'll go ahead and say, he's my number 4. And the thing with Patrick Queen, like we were just alluding to, was he wasn't a starter at the beginning of this last year, like you said. And, he played multiple years at college, and he started this year, but he had to get that starting position from that other guy you liked, Phillips, right? But he's farther down the list. But Patrick Queen,
not too much farther.
Not too much farther, but he wasn't a 4-year starter. He wasn't a 2-year starter either. I mean, he had to get to that role. And I think there's a bit of bias with all LSU players this year, just because LSU was such a good team and everybody's aware of LSU and everybody watched LSU and everybody was invested in LSU. So it's easy to say Patrick Queen is my guy at linebacker because you're probably more familiar with that team. You're probably more familiar with Patrick Queen. You probably saw him do something that made you feel really special. You probably felt something. You're emotionally involved, attached to him. And then he went to Baltimore. But look at Baltimore. I mean, they didn't have any great linebackers last year. They haven't had a really good IDP linebacker in like 4 years. And Mosley only had one really good season there. If people don't want to hear that. So it's just I'm a little more hesitant about Patrick Queen than the other 3 guys that I mentioned. But he still comes in at 3 with me because he's got the draft capital. He is going in a spot where he's going to essentially be on the field a lot. I don't see anybody to really fight for snaps. And he had 12 tackles for a loss last year, which wasn't bad, especially considering he wasn't one of the starting out the season as a full-time starter. So I see why he's a good prospect. I just have a little less confidence in him than some people in the community. So, but he came in as my number 4. So,
Okay. Well, my number 5 is right with you, Logan Wilson. My number 6 is going to surprise some people, but Logan Wilson, like you said, he is a tackling machine, and that's why you love him. Is he Nick Vigil? That's the question. Is he the replacement? Does he get downhill like Nick Vigil did? And if he did, well, did you just get a cheaper Nick Vigil than you let the guy get away? So that's my biggest question there. My number 6 guy is going to be on the same spot, though. So
let's just do your 6 first, then we'll switch over to mine. Who you got?
Okay, my number 6 is Akeem Davis Gaither. You got him the next round. You got him in. You didn't go after him because you didn't think he was a player, because everybody thinks he's a player. If he wasn't injured at the combine, he'd have been one of the better combine athletes. You guys saw him at the Senior Bowl. He's real. Yeah. He's a freak athlete. I mean, he is a specimen.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, somebody is not going to be happy on the Bengals, and I hope it's not Jordan Brooks, because obviously, like, I'm a Jordan Brooks fan who ran a 4.5 40, and who has a 40-inch vertical. Baker? No.
Are you talking about Bynes?
No, I'm talking about Brooks, who Jordan plays linebacker.
He went to the Seahawks, didn't he?
No, different Jordan Brooks.
Okay, a different Jordan Brooks. Okay, sorry.
So
Jordan Brooks, the off-brand.
I'm right. I think I'm right about the name. I'll have Steve check us out. But the other linebacker who plays for Cincinnati from Oklahoma, maybe I'm having a mental blank on his name, but he's an athlete, and he hasn't really showcased much because he's only been there 2 years. But I have a feeling one of those other linebackers, and it may be Jermaine Pratt, that gets moved out, because I don't think Jermaine Pratt is as athletic as Brooks is. So maybe we might see an entire new linebacking core, which I think you're going to see anyway.
Yeah.
But because Nick Vigil's gone, and you got guys moving up in a different spot, with Dunlap and Hubbard in front of them, I'm not really shocked on what's going to happen there. I think you're going to get a steal at one of those guys, just depending on which one's the middle. And which I think Davis Gaither is going to be an outside linebacker, and I think Logan Wilson will move in the middle, or when they move Jermaine Pratt to the middle because he's been in the system longer. Who knows? So, but it's funny. I have 2 guys on the same team that are rookies. Hey. But let's be real, it's our bonus number 6 guy. So one of those guys is going to ball out. So
yeah, I mean, for them to pick, their 3 and their 4 to go linebacker, I mean, it tells you that they A, knew it was a problem, and B, felt like it needed to be addressed. I mean, they just did it. There wasn't any pussyfooting around. There wasn't any value drafting nonsense. It was, we need a linebacker. We need another linebacker. So they got him.
And I mean, they do balled out. I mean, look, when he played top tier talent, he still played really well. Oh, so yeah. and that was a big. Appalachian State they're no pushover school. Okay, I mean, they won 12 games last year. So
yeah, he was a guy that we were high on before the draft, and the injury stuff kind of, the injury, I guess call it stuff, injury rumors, or the whatever, the FUD.
Well, he hurt his foot, right? I mean, so.
Something like that. Either way, he was a steal in the 4th, I think. So good for them. Good on them. All right, well, I'm going to finish out my linebackers. I'm going to throw in.
Sorry, I'll throw in the name. It wasn't Jordan. It wasn't Jordan Brooks. It was Jordan Evans.
Jordan Evans. Gotcha. All good. Things happen. But my number 6 guy, my bonus dude, is Josh Uche, linebacker. He got taken by the New England Patriots. Now, he's interesting because he played off the edge in college, but right now in Sleeper, he's still as a linebacker. So I don't know if they're going to play him in that Jamie Collins role, if they're going to play him in the Van Noy role. I don't know if they're going to, I'm not really sure what they're going to do with him. So I just put him into my linebacker group because, one, it shows you that New England is they're building their defense up. They took Uche and they took Duggar in the second round. They're getting younger. This is a team that has a lot of veterans on their defense. They had Van Noy, they have Hightower, Jamie Collins, the Chung and whoever else. They're all a little bit on the older side, though. Most of these guys are 27, 28, 29. Some of them are pushing 30. So last year they got Winovich. This year they took Uche, they took Duggar. So this team is trying to get younger and faster. And Josh Uche is definitely fast and he's definitely young. So coming off the edge, he had 7.5 sacks last year, 10.5 tackles for loss. So like Jared said before the show, he probably is going to play the edge role. But, a lot of people were talking about Zach Bond, who played edge at Wisconsin, moving to the middle. I could see a similar situation like that with Uche based on kind of his size. He could play a middle role. But we'll have to see what New England decides to do with him and what this New England defense comes to fruition this next year. But I really like Josh Uche. Actually, I think I just skipped. I was 6. I skipped Willie Gay. Willie Gay was my 5. Sorry, guys. I have Willie Gay at 5. Along Jared, I think, had him at 4. Just real quick, good role for him. He's a good player. I'm glad Kansas City addressed linebacker. I feel like they just keep ignoring it the last couple of years. They finally went out and got a guy who looks like a hitter. Looks like he plays with the tenacity that I like to see on my team. I can't wait to see him and Tyrann Mathieu and Frank Clark and Chris Jones on the field all at the same time and see what happens. So happy about that. So that was my 5. And then, like I said, Joshua Uche came in at my 6. So those are our linebackers, guys. I'm sure we'll post something about these later too if you can't remember the exact order on our Twitter and stuff. So guess we will move on to our DL and our edge guys. Man, this number 1 spot was real tough. I just couldn't decide whether it was Chase Young or if it was Chase Young. So I just went with my gut.
Yeah,
Chase Young in.
That's an easy one, man. And Chase Young is the premier defensive end in this group.
Yeah, he's about to be one of the premier defensive ends in the league. This boy, he's going to a situation. When you think about Nick Bosa coming in last year, it was like, okay, he's going to be good, but if he lands in the right spot, he's going to be great. Well, he landed on what we already thought was one of the better defensive lines in the league. Same thing with Nick Bosa. We've been talking about since last summer, the 2 best defensive lines talent-wise in the league are the 49ers and the Redskins. Now the Redskins add Chase Young. So in my eyes, I see Chase Young's season going a lot like Nick Bosa's did last year. Probably a ton of quarterback hits, creeping up close to double-digit sacks. I think Bosa had 9. If you count the postseason, he had well over 9. But, 9 is reasonable for a rookie, I think, with his talent level. I think he had, 10, 11, 12, 13. I don't remember exactly how many. He had quite a few tackles for loss. It might have been 16 or 17.
21.
Holy shit. All right. Chase Young, 21 in college. So I think that he's got that he got similar upside to Nick Bosa, maybe even a little bit more. So if Nick Bosa was not a DL1, a lot of people have this in their head. I've seen on people like, oh, Nick Bosa's an elite tier 1 DL. And I'm like, he was like DL 13 this last year. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. But don't give the man the crown yet. He hadn't even broken into the top 12. So
yeah, he's not. If you're not top 10, you're not top 10. And Max Crosby had the exact same stats. So
Max Crosby had a better season than him. Carlos Dunlap had a better season than Nick Bosa. You won't hear people talk about Carlos Dunlap, but he did. So facts is facts. Fucking Sam Hubbard.
They stayed on the field longer. So
anyway, so Chase Young, I don't really know what else to say about him. If you want to give a blurb, if you can get him, get him. He's worth it.
I'm not going to give too much on Chase Young, obviously, but he's the best defensive end in the draft. Prospect wise. You could have a guy that comes out of this group that we both love. So I left a guy off my list on purpose. So you have him as your number 3 guy, but
nice.
That's because I don't want to highlight him until later. So
All right, let's move on to number. I'm just assuming Chase Young was your one too, so let's just move on.
100%. Yep.
My number two is AJ Epinesa. Now, this was kind of hard for me. Not necessarily super hard, but it really just came down to, he had the bad combine, so his stock dipped. And his stock dipped, so he fell in the draft. I mean, these are just facts. I'm not, I'm not saying this or that. I'm just saying this is what happened. I don't think that means AJ Epinesa is any less of the football player that he was all year, all through college. He had 49 tackles this last year, 14 tackles for a loss, 11 and a half sacks. We already knew he wasn't going to be an elite type of athlete, and he ended up scoring not like that. And kind of like Bradley Anae, that ended up bringing him down people's boards. But he's still one of the better prospects in this class. He's one of the bigger, more physically imposing guys. I mean, he just is so powerful whenever he's on the field. I mean, he just walks linemen back, and, he's very disruptive. 3 pass deflections, 4 forced fumbles, which, that's second only to Chase Young on my list that I've got here of my top 6 guys. So, AJ Epinesa, he went to the Bills too, which they have they're rebuilding that line. They got Quentin Jefferson they added. They got rid of Jordan Phillips, but Ed Oliver they spent that super high pick on. So I think AJ Epinesa is in a situation to succeed. I don't think he's going to come off the field this next year because they're going to need him. And I think that the talent is just going to win out. Maybe he's not the most athletic guy in the world, but I still think that he's one of the better prospects. I think the Bills kind of got away with one, getting him where they got him.
Yeah, I think he's a steal, honestly, that late just because he dropped. I've always been high on AJ Epinesa. I left him off mine. I left 2 guys off my thing because you had him on yours. I want us to get a little more talking in on different players. So that's why my list is a little different than yours, because why not have some debate? And so I love AJ, but for me, it's Derek Brown. 54 tackles, 11 half sacks, 11 half tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 2 quarterback hurries, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and 4 pass deflections. Four pass deflections for a defensive lineman. To give me that, he's a big dude. He reminds me a lot of Gerald McCoy when he's younger. I think that is who he could be on that team. I think they've done enough around him to really showcase Derek Brown. So I really like him. I think his tackles for loss are going to be basically right where they're, maybe even higher, because I think I could see them 15 to 20. Maybe not 20. Let's go 11 to 15. Because they're in a good spot. He's in a good spot to have those tackles for loss. And if he can get me 6 to 7 sacks, 50 tackles, give me all that. I'll take that from a rookie all day. So
nice. Yeah, I think your Derek Brown is, especially in a D tackle league, he and Kinlaw are kind of the cream of the crop. But if you're in a DL league, it's still some of these defensive tackles are still going to get points. Sure, they're probably not going to get the big splash plays, the strip sack, forced fumble, but they're going to.
I got to give some DL. I mean, defensive end gets so much love in fantasy. You got to give those guys that people are looking farther down the line, and that's where bringing the defensive lineman in for me is what we had to do here. So
yeah. It's funny too, because a lot of people want to. A lot of people, when you talk about DL, they're not really into playing defensive tackles in a DL spot. We're talking sleeper here, but they want to play in specific DT leagues, but they don't really want to play defensive tackles. I mean, I don't really know how else to say it. Nobody wants to play a defensive tackle unless they're forced to, which I don't really like. I like having our setup, which is where you can play your defensive tackle in a DL spot. I do that a lot. I mean, you get value in drafts on guys like Derek Brown, Grady Jarrett, Kenny Clark right now is so cheap it's unreal. And these guys are not DNs, so they just drop and drop and drop and drop and drop. And then you're still going to get 8 sacks, 14 tackles, 18 quarterback hits. I mean, you're still going to get DL2 production out of these guys. And a lot of people just, like you said, they just sleepwalk by them. So good. I'm good on you for putting Brown up there nice and high. He's definitely in a good spot with the Panthers. They are rebuilding that line too. It looks like it might end up being something special, which brings me to my number 3, which is Yetur Gross-Matos, who the Panthers took in the second round. They took him high in the second round. He was the 3rd edge rusher taken in this class after Clavon and Chase Young. So now he's going to get to play across from Brian Burns. He's going to get to play next to Brown, who you just mentioned. And I think there's going to be a lot of disruption on this line. There's definitely going to be a lot of defensive snaps played in Carolina this year. And I think he could easily produce for fantasy as a rookie. I'm not going to say he's going to be a world beater. I bet he has a couple of world beater weeks, though. And I could see him honestly finishing with a season similar to what he had in college this last year: 40 tackles, 14 and a half tackles for loss, 9 sacks. Something close to that. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but that's serviceable numbers in an IDP league, especially if you're starting 3, maybe 4 defensive linemen. So keep an eye on him. He's my number 3, Yetur Gross-Matos. So who you got at number 3?
My number 3 is a little bit different than yours. So my number 3 is Clavon Chaisson. I just think he's one of the bigger reasons why LSU was where they're at defensively in the, where they got to the championship. I mean, he was always at the quarterback, and that's saying something, especially playing the talent that LSU had to play this year. For him to have 60 tackles, 13 out tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 6 quarterback hurries. It's no Chase Young, but 1 forced fumble and 2 pass deflections. I'm pretty happy with that, especially with 60 tackles. It tells you how much he gets downfield after the ball gets by him or he chases somebody down. I like him. I think his quarterback hurries should have been a lot higher, to be honest with you. But you'll see how that works out. I personally am a huge fan. I like him. I think he's in a good spot. I love where he went. So that's for me.
Yeah, and that was your number 3, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I've got Clavon Chaisson at 4. All the things you said. He looks like he's going to be something good. I mean, the Jaguars have a pretty consistent history of getting good edge rushers. They've had Yannick, they had Calais Campbell, they had Josh Allen. Now they had Chaisson. For all their flaws as an organization, they seem to be able to judge a quality edge rusher. So them getting Chaisson, making him the second defensive end, outside linebacker, whatever the hell he's going to play. I think it's going to same thing with Josh Allen last year. He was an outside linebacker. He'll be a defensive end. Chaisson will. To add him, sure up that line with the nebulous situation with Yannick. Somebody send a SWAT team down there and get Yannick the fuck out of there. That poor guy. Like, let's get him somewhere where he's going to be loved, appreciated, and cared for.
You love you some Yannick, bro.
Can you imagine how shitty, Chaisson was probably sitting there? He's like, please don't let me go to the Jags. Please don't let me go to the Jags. Please don't let me go to the Jags.
Yeah.
And they call his name, and this guy's just like, he's probably throwing shit. He's probably like, son of a bitch. All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can go down there and that organization can straighten up and figure their shit out.
Well, it just tells you that they're on the downswing of getting rid of Yannick. And I think by the trade deadline, Yannick goes to a team that's competing but doesn't have a great defensive end. So
I think they've just waited and waited too long. And I think if they take a deal now, it's not going to be as good as some of the ones they've probably turned down. And they're such a prideful.
That's why I said trade deadline. So I think they use them for half the season and then move forward with Chaisson and Allen.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, well, let's move on. Who you got at number 4?
So I have one of your linebackers, and I think Josh Uche is going to be a guy that is going to be playing the Van Noy defensive end role.
Mm-hmm.
With as much as they got rid of, and I don't see him playing the Jamie Collins role, I really believe he's going to be there. And I think that this is the right spot. I think that maybe you'll see a little more Chase Winovich inside. I just like him to be the edge rusher for that team. And I've always been a Patriots fan. I love what they do, scheme-wise. They added so much, added Adrian Phillips, and, now you got Duggar, who I think is going to end up doing something here too. I just like where he ends, and I think it is going to be a defensive end spot for him.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like I said, I set him in my linebacker rankings because that's kind of where he was at still. And even if he plays outside linebacker, I'm fine playing an outside linebacker as my 2 or 3, especially in our IDP 1-2-3 scoring system that we kind of tell people about. But yeah, Uche, he looked good at the Senior Bowl. He was one of those guys that was slowly getting some buzz, and you just noticed his speed. He was a little smaller than some of the guys there, but he was very good at getting around the linemen, from what I noticed. So
I
good
mean, he
pick.
had 10.5 tackles for loss and 7.5 sacks. I mean,
Yeah, and he wasn't even like a full time starter. So, and he got
no.
invited to the Senior Bowl off of his work. So good on him. My number 5 guy is a guy that I kind of had been letting fall through slip through the cracks for me. But as I was putting these rankings together, he just kept coming up, and other guys just kept getting moved down. And that's Daryl Taylor, who ended up going to the Seahawks. This really comes down to 2 things for me. It's one, the Seahawks have not had I mean, you can say Clowney was a good pass rusher, I guess, with 3 sacks last year. I mean, if you want to have that argument, go for it. I think he's a little overrated, as we've said about 100,000 times on this show. But they still haven't figured out what they're going to do at edge. They spent their first or second round pick on LJ Collier last year, who did next to nothing. Well, I mean, talk about just wasting a pick. So, but they went out this year and they got Daryl Taylor, who played for Tennessee. And as I went and watched some Daryl Taylor games, some tape. I'm not a big tape watcher, but I watched it because I was like, okay, what made this guy worth the second round pick? He's big and he's fast and he hits hard. I mean, he is a scary dude. And the tenacity that he plays with was instantly, to me, was like, this guy looks like a Seahawk. Like, he looks like everything that the Seahawks want to bring in. And that line needs help. I mean, I don't see him not playing this year in a very important role. Like I said, they use this pick on him. You know, they got Jordan Brooks. They brought him in. That defense is aging out, has been for a while, and they have not been bringing in quality players to replace some of these guys. And I think they got 2 good guys this year with Brooks and with Taylor. And Taylor, like I said, just I don't see how he doesn't play with Clowney seeming to be gone. LJ Collier was not great. I think that Daryl Taylor is going to be kind of a dark horse in this class, but is going to be productive for the Seahawks, who have had some productive defensive linemen in the past, and I think they're ready for a new one. So he came in as my number 5. Like I said, a lot of it has to do with the situation, the draft capital, but also him as a player. I mean, he just looks very capable to me. So he was my number 5. 10 tackles for loss last year, 8.5 sacks. I was watching him play. You know, he played in the SEC, so you get to see him play some good competition too. So, you know, he wasn't just out there dicking around. So good on the Seahawks for bringing in a good pass rusher, and hopefully it pans out. And right now, he's my number 5 guy.
Yeah, I like him. I think it's a good move for them. He is definitely climbing the franchise fantasy boards for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's in a good spot, like you said, especially if they don't do, bring Clowney back, who whatever knows going on there. He could have a big role, and I'm with you on that. I like him. So,
yep. Who you got at 5?
My number 5 is Javon Kinlaw, who is a monster of a man. And without a doubt went to the right spot. We were talking about if he can land where he lands, then he could be a big move, especially with who he has next to him. And I think Kinlaw was the right pick. It's really just funny how things worked out because a lot of people thought like whether he was going to drop or whether he was going to stay where he was. But I personally think Kinlaw could. He had 35 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 35 tackles, 6 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 4 quarterback hurries, 2 fumble recoveries, and 2 pass deflections. But he reminds me a lot of Clowney, to be honest with you. I don't think he was as explosive as Clowney was in college because Clowney basically hit the one play against Michigan, really blew Clowney up. And he didn't have that. But I think that he could really, really have a good season and career, personally.
Nice. Yeah, I've got I'll just go ahead and jump in here as well. I've got Kinlaw at 6. He goes to that line that we were talking about, the 49ers. He's going to try to replace DeForest Buckner. He gets to play with some guys who are already very disruptive, very capable. Bosa, D Ford. I don't know why I threw D Ford's name in there a second. Eric Armstead. These guys have proven that they can be IDP relevant, and to get Javon Kinlaw, a guy who is a very good prospect, very athletic, who can play inside and a little outside from what I saw. And the 49ers like to do that. They like to move their guys around the line a lot. I think he went to a good spot for IDP relevance. I have him at 6 behind Daryl Taylor, just because, again, he's going to be D-tackling. If he can hit DeForest Buckner numbers, that would be awesome, but that's a hell of a ceiling, and I don't know if I want to put that on him yet. So I couldn't put him any higher on my list than I have him right now. But he is a top, for me, he is one of the better rushers, pass rushers, D tackles, DL, whatever you want to call him in this class. So he was my 6. Who was your 6?
For me, it's Bradley Anae. What you saw from throughout the year, 13 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, 41 tackles. We don't have his quarterback hurry numbers, but what you also don't see is he had 3 sacks in the Senior Bowl.
I think he had the most quarterback hurries in the class from what I remember looking at.
Yeah.
He had
it was a pretty good number.
Yeah. Bradley Anae, he barely was not on my list. He's a little bit of a sleeper because the draft capital wasn't there for me, but he is as good as it gets, honestly, as a technician.
I think DeMarcus Lawrence's days are numbered.
Yeah.
If he's not playing on the opposite side, then I think his days are numbered. So, and people can say what they want to about this for me, but tape doesn't lie, and Bradley Anae has it. Right? I keep bringing on Brown from Baltimore. He, without a doubt, was going to be a first-round draft pick. Had a bad combine and dropped to the 3rd round, and it started every game for the Baltimore Ravens at left or right tackle. So the same thing goes for me with Bradley Anae. Did have a great combine, had a good season, had a really, really good Senior Bowl, and he dropped that. He without a doubt dropped much farther than a lot of us expected, I think, personally. And I think they're going to be shocked when they get him on the field. And they're like, you know what? We got a steal here. So I truly believe that. So,
yeah, agreed. I agree completely. I think that the Cowboys got a steal. I'm glad he went to America's team because even though the draft capital wasn't there, he has his chance to blow up. So happy for him. Bradley, if you're watching this, we're riding for you, bro. All right, let's move on to our defensive backs. Let's crank these guys out. We got I'll go ahead and lead off. My number 1 defensive back in this class right now for my rankings is Xavier McKinney. He's got the pedigree. Alabama has put out some good safeties, Minka Fitzpatrick, Landon Collins, just to name a couple. He has got the athleticism. If you watch him play, he's elite. He's got the draft capital. He was the first safety taken in this class, which is, high praise because that 2nd round was, what are we looking at here? Almost 10% plus of it was safeties. So he was the first one of that group. 4 forced fumbles, leads my group of guys. 5 pass deflections, not quite leading my group of guys, but he can play all the positions too. Strong safety, free safety, he can come up and play corner a little bit. So Xavier McKinney went to the New York Giants. He's my number 1 guy. If he's going to fall into that Antoine Bethea role where he had 100-plus tackles last year, give that to me in fantasy all day long. So he's my number 1 defensive back in this class.
I'm with you. I really like him. He's my number 3 guy. I'm just going to put that out there. But I'm with you. He very easily could be number 1 because tackles. He had 95 tackles in college. Yeah. So if you're going to have 95 tackles in college, you could definitely do that. Yeah, at the safety position in college. When
I'd be happy with 95 tackles in 16 games in the NFL. You know what I mean? And that'd be awesome. So
yeah, I'm licking my chops too. I'm with you. And he had 5.5 tackles for loss. He reminds me so much of Jamal Adams.
I know.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. I get that too.
He causes fumbles. Dude, interceptions he had? 3 interceptions? He had 5 pass deflections. He had a touchdown.
Yeah, he's gonna be.
I like him.
He's gonna be good on that team for the Giants. So good on them. Who's your number guy?
So my number 1 is Grant Delpit, and the main reason is I think the Browns are going to be tested this year. I think that I really truly believe, and I still got some kind of bet with Steve. I'm going to shave my head if if Baker doesn't have a great year, but I think that they're going to have to play the Browns. I think they're going to have to come after him, especially with Stefanski as their coach. I think you're going to have to try to throw the ball to beat them, and they got to play in one of the toughest divisions if Big Ben's healthy, you got all the Steelers. If Lamar Jackson continues to do what he does, you gotta love the Ravens. I think they're gonna have to pass the ball. So I think Delpit is gonna be a 65 to 75 tackle guy. So for me to say that from a rookie is a lot, but
yeah,
I love Grant Delpit, and he didn't get a lot of love in college, and he still won Jim Thorpe Award. So
I like that you mentioned where he's going to play. He's in a division where he's going to get tested, like you said. I mean, Juju's back. Mark Andrews is breaking out. They got rid of some of their other tight ends, so Mark Andrews will actually be on the field more. You need a coverage safety, who's fast and who can, hopefully deflect a few of these deep passes from Big Ben that will come, a few of these deep passes from Lamar Jackson that will come, a few of these deep passes from Joe Burrow that will come. You got to have a say. You can't do what the Browns did last year with safety. So they went out and they took care of business, and that was a good pick for your number 1 guy. My number 2, Jeremy Chin, small school guy, SIU. I actually live about an hour from SIU. They're my college's rival, SEMO's rival, the Salukis. He's basically built like Isaiah Simmons, but he actually sticks to the safety spot. 71 tackles this last year. He blew up the combine. I mean, he basically destroyed. He had the highest vertical jump and broad jump. I'm pretty sure even more than Isaiah Simmons did. And he falls into the role that I love, which was the defensive back 3's role last year, Eric Reed, on the Carolina Panthers. Tackles to be had. Luke Kuechly is now gone. This offense, runs through Christian McCaffrey, and that's great and all, but this defense is going to be tested. This defense is going to be on the field a lot. And Jeremy Chin is an upgrade, I think, from Eric Reed, honestly. I mean, he's younger. You're basically getting Isaiah Simmons light. He can play the box safety. He can also play a little linebacker if you need him to, which is interesting because, like you've mentioned before, Shaq Thompson is also a guy who can play a little bit of safety as well as that linebacker role. So
that's what he played in college. So
So they have weapons on defense there, which they took all their picks this year. All 7 of their picks for the Panthers were defensive. None of them were linebackers. They did take Chin as their number 2 or their number 3 pick. They went Derek Brown, they went Yetur Gross-Matos, and they went Jeremy Chin, who coincidentally all 3 made our list. Draft capital's there. Team's rebuilding. We know they're going to be on the field. Jeremy Chin is a beast. You probably never heard of him. You probably never seen him play. Just take our word for it. Jeremy Chin is worth a late round rookie pick. And the thing is, he's not falling through the cracks like you would think. You're not just going to be able to get him at the end. You will probably have to take him before Grant Delpit. Some people I've seen people taking Chin higher than I thought they would. So people are aware.
I watched Chin go before Darnell Savage in a draft.
That's what
last week.
People are aware. So if you want some of that Chin, get in on it. Pay up for it. I don't think you will be disappointed. He's my number 2. Who do you got number 2?
Jeremy Chin. So
boom.
It's pretty easy for me. I think that he is, like you said, you have the comparison to Isaiah Simmons in the safety position. And if you got that many tackles leaving the Carolina Panthers, somebody's got to make them. And Shaq Thompson's went up, Browns went up, Gross-Matos went up, and without a doubt, Chin is
moving up.
Going to be a steal. Yeah, he's to get him in with their third pick, steal. I'm telling you right now, they're gonna love him this year.
Yep.
So
I
my number 3 is your number 1, Xavier McKinney, and I already said it. We agree, Xavier McKinney. If he has the Bethea role, give me 100 tackles. So I'm working on trying to trade for him in several leagues. So we'll see how it works out for me.
Like me.
Well, I couldn't have drafted, he went right before my pick. So I had like 3 guys go right when that always happens. But
yeah, that's the draft, man.
I watched Darius Leonard go are you ready for this? First pick in the second round.
Holy ball.
In a dynasty startup. Yep.
That's some flag planting right there.
That's some bold move right there, but
yeah,
that's okay.
Nice. Well, there's Xavier McKinney, Jerry's number 3. My number 3, another small school guy, Kyle Duggar. Now, this guy's he's a little older. He's 24 years old, but he played a D2 school, Leon Ryan, right? Lenore Ryan.
Yep. Lenore Ryan.
He was a guy that we got to the Senior Bowl, and he basically we heard Kinlaw's name was chirping in everybody's ear, but Kyle Duggar was another name that was getting chirped on a lot, and a lot of people were like, "Man, this Kyle Duggar kid, he's got the juice, he's got the fire that we're looking for." And but a lot of people are like, "Well, that what I just did, the discount. Well, he went to a small school. That didn't matter to the Patriots. They made him their first pick of the draft." And they made him the second safety taken, 1 pick after Xavier McKinney. They didn't dick around. They said, we want this guy. And they got him. And it's funny because Bill Belichick himself was at the Senior Bowl. I mean, I'm sure Steve saw him. He was on the field. I mean, he was watching. So, I mean, it wasn't like they were like this. They had eyes on this man from the top of the organization to the bottom. And they made him the second round pick. He's versatile. He's got huge arms, huge hands. So that's one thing they talked about. He has the longest arms and the biggest hands of anybody in the defensive back position. He's very rangy. He's very fast. He's got good instincts, and he's built he's built kind of like a King Gaithers Davis. Like a brick shithouse. Dude just looks like a monster. He looks like basically a souped up, Tyrann Mathieu on steroids with longer arms. So if that gives you any idea of the kind of physical, imposing, scary kind of guy that's flying around out there, that's Kyle Duggar. And he goes to a team that's got a super disruptive defense. They just lost Tom Brady. They're rebuilding the defense, like I said, with the Uche pick and with Kyle Duggar. And I think that he's going to be a very important piece on this team for the next several years. And I can easily see him at the starting role day one. So
I love Kyle Duggar. I know when he got drafted, I'm in this group and they're like, who's that? Who's that? And I'm like, man, wait. That guy, you guys are going to hear words. It's going to be interesting where they put him. I think, again, they brought in Adrian Phillips. I think Adrian Phillips ends up playing the linebacker role, which is what he should have been playing at the Chargers. I think that he's going to take one of the safety spots. As much as people don't want to hate that they didn't draft him for no reason. The kid's real. So, for my number 4 guy, which I think might be your number 4 guy, is Antoine Winfield Jr. 83 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 7 interceptions, 1 pass deflection, and a touchdown. 7 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Bro.
Ball hawking.
Give me all of Antoine Winfield Jr. Especially, people are going to love him. You're going to see what he got because he plays in a division where they're going to pass the crap out of the ball. So Atlanta is going to pass against them. You know that Drew Brees is going to pass against them with the Saints, and Carolina's got to pass to keep up. So,
you're right,
dude. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, he's also my number 4, and like you said, he's in a division where they're going to air it out. And it's interesting because now I'm thinking about it so much. There's another defensive line we like. They got Sue, Vita Vea, Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, Levante David, Devin White. I haven't named a guy yet that I don't want on my team. And these guys are up front. So these guys are just collapsing in on whoever the opposing quarterback is. Drew Brees, Matt Ryan. And that's going to mean that there will be errant passes coming Winfield Jr.'s way. And don't think that he hasn't thought of this. I mean, those 7 interceptions last year, show you that he is a ball hawk, and he's going to be given chances to do that. So it's interesting. I have him at 4, and as I'm looking at it, if I'm thinking about the true,
he could climb. He could legit climb.
He could push his way into, not just as a rookie, but he could probably push his way into the top 12 defensive backs this season if things fall away.
You gotta love where Steve puts out the pedigree, and I've planted my flag on Antoine for Jr. because his dad was such a legit player. So
yeah,
dude I'm telling you,
as a cornerback, were crazy. The dude would get like 70 tackles a season. He must have been like God, because I went played 14 years in the league. Dude, he was drafted the year before Tom Brady. Dude played till like 2015, 15. I mean, he was an old man getting paid, and he was just beast mode.
That's the craziest is Tom Brady's playing with his son.
Yeah, if you look at his
that's
stats,
crazy.
Yeah, they're like safety numbers for a cornerback. I mean, he just blew people up. He was a hard hitter. So,
I love him.
He comes from, like Steve said, good pedigree. So, my number 5 guy is, or did you give your number 5 already? I'm sorry.
No, my number 5 is Jeff Okudah. I couldn't leave him off the list. Do want to get done with this show, but I couldn't leave Jeff Okudah off the list. He's going to be tested. He's one of the best cornerback prospects we've seen in years, whether you love or hate it. Mm-hmm. Dude's a baller. So without a doubt, he doesn't hold. He's got great speed, great coverage skills, can play on and off the ball. So Jeff Okudah, only 34 tackles. He had 9 pass deflections though. So 3 interceptions. Don't test that dude.
Yeah.
It was like 1.6% on deep balls against him.
Damn.
Yeah, bro. Give me that.
Good for him getting that draft pedigree and going to an organization in a division also that's known for throwing. So there should be some upside there. My number 5 was your number 1, Grant Delpit. I wrote about all this defensive back class a little bit on Dynasty Nerds. You can go check that out if you want or are interested. But yeah, same thing I said earlier with you. He's in a division where they're going to throw the ball, and the Browns can't be caught, playing Morgan Burnett and Demarius Randall, whoever the hell these guys were last year. They just can't do that. They don't have that option. They need to get Baker Mayfield in these games where they can just hand the ball off. I mean, dude had 21 interceptions to 22 touchdowns last year. They need to get ahead, and they need to pass. And to get ahead, they have to be able to stop some of these deep completions. And to do that, you got to get a good coverage safety. And Grant Delpit is that. So I think that he has a chance to be one of the better guys in this class. He went to an organization that has a big fan base. He comes from an organization with a large fan base. He's got, all these awards. He can play. Tackling has been an issue, but that's college. He's not in college anymore. I give him a clean slate. He is where he is, and I think he's in a good spot to succeed. So that's my number 5. Did you give your 5 already?
Yep, Jeff Okudah.
Sorry. All right, so my 6 is A.J. Terrell. I thought about Jeff Okudah here, but I wanted to get Terrell in there. He was the second cornerback taken, I believe. He went to Atlanta. And it kind of comes back to what we were talking about in that division. He's going to play in a division where they're going to throw the ball a lot. And honestly, the safety situation in Atlanta has been terrible. I mean, it was, Ricardo Allen and Kaiser this last year. Keanu Neal was supposed to play, but he got hurt again. Keanu Neal is just perennially hurt. Feel bad for the guy. But that just, I think A.J. Terrell is in a spot where he's going to have to get tackles. I don't think there's going to be I don't know if you can count on the safeties there. And like you said, he's probably going to be tested a little bit. Trufant is still in Atlanta, right? So he's the veteran that people are probably going to look to avoid. So in my eyes, A.J. Terrell came in as 6. Like I said, it was close with him and Okudah, but I just decided to stick with Terrell. So A.J. Terrell came in as my number 6. Any thoughts or comments on that landing spot in Atlanta?
A good spot. Love Atlanta. I think that it's a good spot for him. To go get him when they got him, I was a little surprised. Didn't really expect him to come off the board that fast, but he was probably my biggest surprise of the draft that early. But they do need it. So especially with losing what they lost. So I like the move overall.
Nice. All right. Well, that was our rankings. We'll read them back, or we'll post these.
I got one more though. I got Jones from Miami.
I'm sorry. Go for it.
I cut out there for a little bit, so something happened. So I have Jones from Miami. I think it's in a good spot. They need safety help. They've been starting a lot of second-year guys, so I think that's a good move for them. I think he could be in the right spot. So he's my. I mean, he had 86 tackles in college, so that's big on him. So we'll see what happens there.
All right, give me 1 sec. I'm gonna. All right, boom. Whole family's there. What's up, Steve?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How'd we do?
Awesome. Sam Hubbard, he had 76 total tackles.
Woo! Big numbers.
Yep. I know he's a beast
as a defensive end. Well, those numbers are going to come down. Logan Wilson's there.
Well, I also was looking at Chin, Simmons, and Duggar, all their combines. You know, those are pretty. Their vertical and their broad jumps were pretty remarkably close. Chin had 41 and 138. Simmons was 39 and 132, and then Duggar was 42 and 134.
Yeah, some athletic boys.
I can't wait.
42-inch vert, bro.
Yeah,
that's big.
That's basketball hops right there.
Yep. Well, Steve, who is your favorite guy that we talked about? Because I mean, you're
Chase Young, bro.
Yeah,
I love Chase Young. I love Kyle Duggar, and of course Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, Kenneth Murray. You know, I think he's going to be on the field a lot.
Yeah, he will be. I think he's a sleeper. I'm a sleeper. He's my number 2, but I think that he has a shot. I mean, he has a very realistic shot to just beat this class down. I mean, he
could have defensive rookie of the year
if he
could happen.
Yeah, I mean, if he translates, I mean, golly, it's gonna be scary.
I don't know. You think it's gonna be him or Chase Young?
Well, Young's. I don't know because I'm
with you.
That's tough. Well, it's a little early in the season to be crowning somebody defensive rookie of the year. So, well, if that's everything, we don't have any more announcements or anything to tell the guys. Zooey, the IDP Army. No. All right. Yeah.
Get your shirt.
If you want to get a shirt, like you said, DM Jared. Mine came in like 48 hours, so they'll get there quick. You can rep them. We're in your drafts, whatever the hell you're going to do with them. So
you're close to me, though. That's why.
Yeah. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I guess I'm going to hand it off to Jared to close us out. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week.
As always, thank you for coming, and tune into next show. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.